All right, what I thought I would do, since few things are as uninteresting as one writer reading for 45, 50 minutes in a row, at least to me, I thought we would break up the night into 3 discrete sections so that people could enjoy themselves in one way, then switch to another mode, then another mode. So to begin, what I thought we would do is watch about 12 minutes of one of the greatest horror movies ever made. It's called The Thing. It's the movie that gave the epigraph to my book. And more than anything else, I thought it would be a fun way to just enjoy a little popcorn, look at the Antarctic on one of the hottest days of the summer so far, and maybe set a little bit of the mood that will then segue nicely into what I will read afterward. So with no further ado, let's watch a few minutes of The Thing. It's not too gory, in case anybody didn't seem like a time waster. Not the friendliest dude you ever met. He snatched tickets from people's hands as they boarded, but better that kind than the one who'd laze around the station, chatting with the other drivers. Soon as he pulled out the station, the driver became our concentrated captain, his entire focus on the snowy terrain. We weren't a full busload, maybe 3/4. I had a small Hispanic woman next to me the aisle, she the window. She'd fallen asleep before the driver started the engine, and I wondered what she might be escaping, or what mystery she might be moving toward. I became so curious I felt like shaking her awake and asking, because the insanity of my own choice became clearer with each block we left behind. I watched the streets I'd crossed every morning on my way to the station, Railroad Street, Broad Street, North Genesee, and felt as though I was saying goodbye to 3 of my coworkers. And that's when I really understood I quit my job. I quit my job. I was screaming inside my skull, I quit my job. I'm 40 years old, and I just quit my job. What the hell was I thinking? I grabbed the armrest and squeezed them so hard the plastic should have cracked. I just felt so damn scared. But it had only been a few minutes. We weren't even on the highway yet, though I could see the on-ramp in the distance. Flurries of snow slapped against the windshield, and the driver turned the wipers on just as he approached a red light. The driver stopped at the crossroads, and I shook in my seat. Just get out now. Go back. Shovel won't even have noticed. Tell her you left for lunch. But then the bus moved again. We reached the on-ramp, but even now there was still time. The bus skulked at the top of the ramp as the driver waited to merge. The snow came down so thick it could have hidden an 18-wheeler. So I had one last chance to escape. I could holler to be let off and go back to the safety of a regular paycheck. I found myself on my feet before realizing I'd even moved. I grabbed the headrest of the empty seat in front of me, stepped 1 foot into the aisle, but then a voice shouted behind me, "Negro, sit down!" Who else could the voice be talking to? There were other Negroes on the bus, if you want to use that term, but none were on their feet. And do you know the craziest part, the most shameful part? I listened. I sat down. As soon as I did, I became angry at myself. Turned around to snap at the speaker, but lost my voice when I saw the Negro who'd done the shouting. I refuse to say African American, it just takes too damn long. Sit down and hear some truth, the man said, squinting in my direction. This guy, he was 3/4 bum, and unfortunately, 1/4 legal ticket holder. He stepped into the aisle, grabbing the headrests on either side of him for balance. We are at war, you people. America is in the fight. And with that, 37 passengers groaned as one. Those of us who were awake looked toward the front of the bus at the driver for help, but the driver had abandoned us. He leaned forward in his seat and held the steering wheel even tighter as if to say, "Can't you see how hard I'm working?" I'm not talking about Iraq. I'm talking about the battle here, on our soil, in our souls. We were on our own, just us. Once this became clear, the hobo paced the aisle. When he passed me, I got to see him better. He stooped when he walked, even though he was clearly younger than me. A slim body, but a puffy face. The blown-out nose of a lifetime drinker. I'll bet you could get tipsy licking the sweat on his forehead. I'm sorry to say this, but the man looked like a goblin. What kind of fight am I talking about, he continued. I'm talking about faith, people. Faith and belief. Oh no, one of those. I would have liked it better if he just panhandled. Give him a few dollars and he'd be satisfied, but the religious types required a different reward. Dealing with such folks goes in recognizable stages. First you appeal to authority, but the driver had refused us. So next you try and ignore. Most of the passengers slipped into an imitation of sleep. It was our best defense. Row after row, eyes closed and arms crossed. Some even faked loud snoring. Y'all think you can ignore me, but you're proving my point. Our nation is at war, but we're fighting in our sleep. How do you know whose side you're on if your eyes are shut? I wish my ears were shut, a man shouted from the front. The last stage in such situations is when folks just lose their patience. Who said it? The bum asked, stepping forward. I'm at war with your big mouth. Another passenger, a boy, shouted from the back. The bum stalked the aisle now, looking for one set of open eyes. I saw him through the cracks in mine. As he bopped down the aisle, he became more aggressive. He never hit anyone, but bumped every chair in the row, throwing his 150 pounds like a round of haymakers. To be an American is to be a believer, he shouted, but y'all don't even understand what you believe in. Now the brakes on the bus huffed and groaned. We were on the highway but hadn't traveled too far. The driver brought us to a full stop on the shoulder, then got out of his seat. That woke us up. Even the loudmouth got quiet. The Hispanic lady next to me craned her neck so she could see over the seat, then looked back at the bum with a smirk. She'd heard everything. The driver pressed a button on the dashboard, which opened the bus door. Wind rushed in like water floods a sinking ship. People snatched their coats on. Snowflakes shot into the cabin, a blast of confetti that melted on the floor. The driver clomped down the few steps and walked outside. Maybe he wasn't responding to the bum at all. Did he have a flat? Next came the squawk of grinding metal. The driver had opened one of the luggage bays. Now many of the passengers got out of their seats. Even one old woman whose snore had been louder than the bus engine. I thought for sure she was asleep, but she stopped in the middle of a snort and got up to take a peek. Even the nut leaned over an empty seat to take a gander. The old woman smiled at him. I believe you're getting kicked off. It don't matter, he said. He sneered to seem defiant, but already his voice had weakened. It looked cold out there. The bus driver disappeared inside the luggage bay. Only one foot stuck out, and it kicked around as he searched, as if the bus was devouring him. Then a brown suitcase flew out onto the shoulder like a bit of indigestible beef. At that, the passengers applauded. Me too, I must admit. The bus driver shut the bay door, another grinding squawk, then made his way back inside. The bum dragged himself toward the front right away. I thought he might protest the excommunication, but there was nowhere to appeal. On this bus, the passengers were all archbishops, and the bus driver was our pope. The guy spoke as he moved. Who gets God? That's all I'm asking. Who gets welcome to the table? Just get off, a raspy woman growled from the rear. The driver climbed the 3 steps into the bus and stood there, saying nothing. The snowstorm outside was so white, so bright against the windshield that it turned the driver into a dark blue silhouette, a silent shadow pointing toward the exit. The bum stopped before he reached the driver. His knees dipped even though we weren't moving, and he grabbed at the luggage racks for balance. He sighed deeply, a little theatrically, as he turned back to survey us. His eyes were as yellow as masking tape.